Why I've had my eye on my mother-in-law for years. It's not for nothing that they say you should choose your wife by your mother-in-law. I finally decided to get married when I saw my mother-in-law. There was something extraordinary about her, both when I first saw her and many years later. And I always went to visit my mother-in-law with pleasure, trying to look at her cleavage. My mother-in-law preferred to wear open blouses and tight leggings that drove me crazy. She paraded her slender hips in front of me. It was no coincidence that when we returned home after visiting my mother-in-law, my wife and I were clearly better in bed. And I always waited for an opportunity to be alone with my mother-in-law, but for some reason, it did not work. Either my father-in-law was with us, or my wife, or another relative. But nevertheless, such an opportunity presented itself to me. I stayed alone with my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law and his wife left together until the evening. This was a chance I wasn't going to miss. It would happen today. That was my attitude. But first I had a job to do. I had to deal with her computer. I was looking at her computer for programs that could be deleted and asking her, and she was piled on the desk and was in extreme proximity to me. I couldn't help but look at her cleavage from time to time. This closeness of hers made me shiver, and my apparatus kept twitching, and the thought kept going through my head. You have to do this today. But out loud, I was saying completely different things. My brain was drilling the thought of possessing her, and aloud I smiled and said that I should properly study the history of her requests on the internet. How surprised and amazed I was when I saw adult queries like mother-in-law slept with son-in-law. Wow, I didn't know what to do or say. The mother-in-law pretended not to know what it was about. Oh, how interesting. I didn't even realize anyone went to sites like that, despite the fact that it was her computer. The mother-in-law pretended that her father-in-law made similar requests. I even wonder what is on these sites if they are so popular, the mother-in-law exclaimed, pretending to be innocent. But I calmed down. Now I knew for sure that my plan today will come true. I would finally get her. I just had to be a little patient, and soon she would lead to it herself. I clicked on like the first video I came across, but I knew for sure it was a mother-in-law and son-in-law video. I turned it on. We started watching. I didn't look at the screen much, paying attention to my mother-in-law's reaction. She wiggled her lips as the action started to happen on the screen, and then her mother-in-law licked her lips and her eyes glistened. The mother-in-law was once again playing innocent, but giggling. I soon finished and got up from the table, not knowing what to do about the visible stain that had protruded on my shorts. I was so horny that even my pants were soaked, but my mother-in-law made no attempt at action. Thinking I'd bummed myself out, I went to the exit and in the hallway hugged her as a sign of goodbye. I've always done that. But today I was so worked up that I flinched when I touched her. My mother-in-law was standing next to me. Surely she sensed my state of mind. Suddenly I made a decision. It was now or never. I pulled her to me again and kissed her. She didn't resist. I ran my fingers over her lips, squeezed her waist with both hands. She responded quite vigorously. I had longed to feel her in my arms. I think it's too early. I'll leave later, I said. My mother-in-law said I should go to bed. She went to her room. I thought I was being kicked out and came out disappointed and angry. But I forgot my car keys, so I had to go back. My mother-in-law opened the door. She was standing in the hallway. With one hand, she lifted up the hem, and with the other, she opened the door for me. My mother-in-law jumped up happily. I thought you'd gone out. I left my keys there in the room. I entered the room, took the keys with one hand and pulled her to me with the other. The next moment, I pulled her closer, though I still held the keys in my hand. She stood tense at first, but gradually began to relax and let herself go. I let the keys out of my hand. They fell to the floor with a clinking sound. But we didn't notice. She didn't have time to say a word. I was so impetuous. She trembled from my actions, and it was revealed to me it was wonderful. Everything I had dreamed of for so long had come true. I've wanted this for so long, my mother-in-law said, and I thought that if I hadn't forgotten the keys, our desires would have remained unsatisfied even further.